Hello and welcome to this first line exploration of gate 63. So gate 63 is called after completion. It's the gate of doubt. And the first line here is called composure. In the first line, we have the foundation and the line that is introspective. It's always looking inwards. And we find that the essential nature of doubt is to be composed. Composure, as this line is called, is very important. Remember that this is a gate that doesn't really get to feel complete. It will not see its doubt eliminated until it can hear the detail coming through gate 62 at the end of the stream. That question does not only have to be answered with a formula from gate 4, but it has to generate an opinion out of the 17th gate and then become a detailed description out of the 62. And that then is the completion of the stream and of this mental process of logic. The exaltation says, the quality of personality where achievement is accepted with equanimity and where continued development is allowed to take its natural course. Acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place. So these are people who are always afraid that their question will never be able to be projected out into the future so that they will finally get to the point of detail. And then they can really let go of their suspicion and doubt. If you have this gate or you know someone who has this gate, the most important thing to know is to make sure that everything in your life that you doubt and are suspicious of, that you prove it for yourself. You have to get the detail. Only then is it possible to let go of the doubt and the suspicion. If you meet someone and you're suspicious about them, you have to be composed. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt and see the whole process through. Wait and see if they will give you the detail, if they will give you the answer. And if they do, then you can let go of the suspicion. One of the things to understand about the very basis of logic, even though we have 1 and 1 equals 2, built into the logic system is enough doubt that even though you know you've got it, you've got that bit, you still have to check it for yourself. You have to check it again. This is the inspiration that is at its very best for us to understand that no formula, no matter what the formula is, any formula with any pretense of being logical, it just has to be tested over and over and over again, even when it's verified. Because really, that verification says nothing. It simply says, it's a viable pattern. But you have to keep on verifying it because mutation can always take place. And the security of the whole is rooted on constant confirmation. Confirmation that mutation hasn't taken place so that the collective can be secure. In the detriment, the tendency in achievement to immediately seek new goals at the risk of destabilizing what has already been accomplished. The pressure in achievement to still doubt one's capacities and to immediately seek new goals. So we are trying to see whether a pattern works in the future or not. This whole thing is about recognizing in that moment of inspiration whether there is something wrong with the pattern or not. It's always the duality, but it's that kind of mind that is busy when something is wrong with the pattern. But the moment you have worked it out, you can let go of it. And it's not wrong with the pattern as in bad, or it's not that kind of wrong with the pattern. It's just that there's a flaw in the pattern. It needs to be corrected. And there's always going to be another question. And so there's always going to be doubt and suspicion, no matter what is happening. It's endless. This line is always seeking out a new goal, which means that it's always seeking out a new question, a new doubt. It's like the 18th gate, always being able to point out very clearly where something needs to be corrected. The 63 is always looking for patterns, and there is doubt and suspicion in them. People with the 63 can be very suspicious people. To be deeply suspicious and untrusting is actually at the root of what it is to be logical. One question is always going to lead to another, always. And this is lower trigram introspection. And the real question for the 63 one is, what's a good question? What question can really provoke an answer that can lead to a good opinion that becomes detailed, that can be experimented with and shown to be of value to humanity? That's what it's all about. And when you think about it, there are a lot of useless questions floating around, but because of the very nature of how logic works, they're all necessary. The 63 one doesn't really know that there's an answer out there because they don't know there's a fourth gate at the end of a channel. So it's just questions, and the questions are there as inspiration. There are always questions about the future, about tomorrow, because that's what happens in the logic circuitry, and that can create a lot of anxiety. Most of us are conditioned to give inner authority to our minds, to relieve ourselves of the anxiety. And that, of course, ends up creating greater anxiety because the mind is not capable or equipped to control the nature of the life or its direction. It is never our inner authority. So all that pressure, all that anxiety sitting up there, can I find an answer? Is there an answer? Is that answer correct? It can be very disturbing, if you're turning that in on yourself, which is what happens a lot. Ra told us in no uncertain terms and many times that the mind has no inner authority. He described it as the great enemy, and said the moment you give it your inner authority, your life becomes a disaster and you can't possibly be yourself. It's very difficult for people who have these pressure gates in the mental system to let go of thinking that if only they could come up with the answer for themselves, then everything would be great. And then doing that, they're not living as themselves. Our minds are for others. My mind is for you. It's not for me. I know that. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, but I know this. It's not every day, but most days I know this. I'm getting much better at not paying attention to what my mind tells me I should or shouldn't do, or I could have done. Yeah, all of that. It's just nonsense. It did used to drive me nuts before I came into human design, which explains a lot. But I experimented with it and I found out what really works for me. And so I'm doing these reports, and in doing them, this is me giving my mind its outer authority. And your minds all have outer authority for me, and they're useless for you, just like my mind is useless for me. So if you have these mental gates and you've got this pressure and this anxiety, don't turn it in on yourself. Dump it on someone else, because that's what it's there for. That's how we release the pressure. That's what we get to share with this collective circuit. This is part of what it is to be human. Someone comes up to you and says hello, and you can go, bleh. Well, hopefully not quite like that, but this is what we share with them. This is what you know that you give to others. So the grounding is found in the 64-1, and it's called conditions. And it talks about penetrating to the center in order to gain the understanding that instills the necessary harmony to survive disorder. So straight away here we see that strong link between the 63 and the 64, because this is the sensing circuit. This is not understanding. Understanding is the domain of the 63 and the logical side. So if you watch the overview, you will have heard me saying that there's often this feeling that abstract wants to be like the logic and logic wants to be like the abstract. And we certainly see that very clearly in the correlation between the 63 and the 64. So Mercury moves today at 5:26. Is it today? Hold on, just one moment. I've got something in my mind that's actually tomorrow. Let me check my list. 63-1. It's tomorrow morning, not today. So tomorrow morning, Mercury is on the move, goes into gate 25. It's the gate of innocence, the spirit of the self, the gate of unconditional love, a cool love. This isn't the Hollywood kind of emotional love. It's a love that loves equally without that emotion that comes out of the solar plexus. Gate 25 is in the centering circuit. It is focused on self-empowerment, on being centered in the self. It could be seen as being selfish, hopefully an enlightened kind of selfish, maybe one day. But it's the kind of energy that can seem incredible, unconditional love. What a gift, right? I'd never really believed in unconditional love, which kind of might seem a bit funny. I used to have endless discussions with one of my best friends about this, and with Bear, because it doesn't, it's one of those things that has always seemed to me that you just haven't found the thing that is going to make you go, man, I don't love you anymore. And so always, yes, it's unconditional until, so it's unconditional love with a condition against it. And it would, now I understand. Now it makes perfect sense to me because I'm emotional. I have the 3740, the marriage bargain, or the channel of daily divorce, as a lot called it. And so my emotional pain, it goes up, it goes down, it's unpredictable, it embraces hope and pain. I haven't got the 25. So I wonder now, my question for you, I wonder what is it like to have a defined solar plexus and gate 25? If you have this activation, I would really like to know how that expresses for you. How is that in your experience? The moon is also currently in gate 25, so there's ample opportunity to reflect on these qualities of this individual G center gate. And next, the moon moves into gate 17, the logical gate of opinions. And this is in the same stream as our sun. This is in the ajna. It carries an anxiety, as all the awareness centers do. The anxiety that its opinions won't be understood, because this is logic, the understanding circuit. So we bring those same keynotes through all the time. In order for gate 17 to feel confident in its opinions, it needs to have all the correct details and facts. It needs to have had its doubts answered in a way that feels good to it. It's given it a formula that actually it can carry through and make a strong opinion on. And then it sends it through out into the world through its harmonic, the 62. And then we have gate 21, the gate of biting through, the hunter or the huntress, often called the gate of control, a gate in the tribal circuit that is focused on having enough resources for the tribe. And in order to have enough resources, what there is must be controlled. Gate 21 also understands the necessity and power of education. This is not a dictator who is only interested in telling people what to do. There is a desire in all of the tribal gates to be the best tribe. It's one of those things where the 21 gets quite a bad rap sometimes because it's their gate of control, and it really is it's one of those things that can get quite a negative reputation. It's about being in control of yourself first and foremost, so you know where your territory is, that you've got enough resources. Because very often, if you look at the 27, which is the role gate for caring, it gives us our strategies for caring. It's also in tribal circuitry. It tells us that the very first thing we have to do in order to care for anyone else is make sure that we've got enough. It's the same in the 21. It's part of the same overall tribal circuit. It's ego circuit rather than defense, but they're the same overall circuit. So we have the same qualities running through. In order to be truly able to control anyone, we have to be able to control ourselves and be in control of what's important to us. What we eat, what we wear, where we live, how we earn our living, how we share our gloriousness in the world. All of these things are important to the 21, and also education. Because once you've got that control for yourself, you want other people to have it too. So we all move forward together as the best tribe that we can be. Excellent. Thank you very much for joining me for this first line. We are off and running on the first line of gate 63. I'll be back tomorrow with the second line. And until then, I will see you soon, and go gently.